Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein, who is greater? Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein are both geniuses of the world. Their inventions and scientific works laid the foundation for the development of all humanity later on. But have you ever thought about the situation where these two are compared? It sounds a bit strange since Newton and Einstein lived in different eras and their careers were not related to each other at all. What will be the final result? Let's find out in today's video. Isaac Newton, an exceptional genius. Isaac Newton was born in 1643 and died in 1727 in the United Kingdom. Although he had a difficult childhood, being a premature baby and losing his parents early on, Newton was a very curious and exceptionally intelligent person. Throughout his life, he left many great inventions that changed the world. First, we have to mention the reflecting telescope. Before Newton, scientists could create models using a set of glass lenses to enlarge images. After studying, Newton discovered that different colors would refract at different angles, causing the phenomenon of color deviation, which makes objects observed through telescopes blurry or out of focus. To improve the quality of images, Newton proposed using a reflecting mirror instead of the refracting lenses used previously. A large mirror would capture the image, and then a smaller mirror would reflect the image to the viewer's eye. This method not only created clearer images, but also allowed for the creation of a smaller telescope. In fact, Newton himself ground the mirrors and assembled a test model. It was only 6 inches in size, smaller than the astronomical telescopes of the time, but could magnify objects up to 40 times. This reflecting telescope was gifted by Newton to the Royal Society. Newton's second work was the enlightenment of the colors of the rainbow. Scientists of that time knew that a rainbow was formed when light was refracted and reflected in raindrops in the air. But they still couldn't explain clearly why the rainbow contains so many colors. Previous common theories still believed that water droplets somehow dyed different colors on the sunlight. Using a prism and a lamp, Newton conducted an experiment where light was shown through the prism. The result was that the light was split into 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. In 1704, he wrote the book Optics to explain this issue more clearly. The book played a significant role in changing our understanding of light and color. Additionally, Newton was the first to establish the laws of motion, laying the foundation for classical mechanics. In 1687, he published one of the most important scientific books in history, commonly known as Principia. Newton's work first established the 3 laws of motion, including inertia, acceleration, force, and reaction. Newton also made history with the law of universal gravitation. Perhaps we have all heard the story of Newton sitting under the apple tree on the farm, being hit on the head by a falling apple, which led to the creation of the law of universal gravitation. It is the foundation of classical mechanics until the theory of relativity by Albert Einstein appeared. To explain the theories of gravitational force and motion, Newton continued to develop a new specialized form of mathematics called differential and integral. This work had a great significance for mathematics, physics, economics, and probability. In the 1960s, these differential and integral equations provided the tools for the Apollo spacecraft engineers to calculate the numbers needed for the mission to land on the moon. Albert Einstein, a great mind. Albert Einstein and one of the most famous scientists of all time. His name is synonymous with the term genius. Throughout his life, Einstein received countless large and small awards. His most prestigious includes the Nobel Prize in Physics, the Matteucci Medal, and the Copley Medal. Einstein was also the first person to receive the Max Planck Medal in 1929. Later on, many awards were named after Einstein to honor great scientists. To be honored as a genius among geniuses, Albert Einstein contributed greatly to science, specifically in the field of physics, where he is most famous for two groundbreaking theories, the theory of special relativity and the theory of general relativity. Einstein's theory of special relativity has two postulates. The first postulate, the principle of relativity, states that the laws of physics are invariant in all inertial frames of reference. In other words, as long as you are moving at a constant speed, the basic laws of physics are invariant, regardless of the state of motion. The second postulate is the invariance principle of the speed of light in a vacuum. It states that the speed of light in a vacuum is the same for all observers, regardless of the motion of the light source. This means that unlike other factors, the speed of light is absolute. Afterwards, Einstein expanded the special theory of relativity into the general theory of relativity. The journey began in 1907 and ended in 1915. In classical mechanics, space and time are two separate concepts. Two events can occur in two different spaces, but they occur at the same time. However, Einstein unified them into one. This means that any event affecting space can also cause a distortion in time. And time is also a dimension of physical space, which can change depending on the reference frame. After proposing the theory, Einstein, with the help of mathematicians, tried to find equations to prove it. And after a series of failures, he finally came up with the result of E equals m multiply c squared, with E being energy, m being mass, and c being the speed of light in a vacuum. However, like many scientists of that era, Einstein believed that the universe was stable and did not change over time. Therefore, he added a mathematical correction factor to his equations, called the cosmological constant or lambda. This constant implies the existence of a repulsive force that fills all space, counteracting the gravitational force that pulls matter together. This balanced the pushing and pulling forces, making the universe truly static. However, in 1929, Edwin Hubble observed galaxies and concluded that the universe is actually expanding. This discovery led to the theory of the Big Bang. Therefore, Einstein's original equations were correct and did not require a cosmological constant. Einstein decided to remove this constant from his equations, acknowledging that it was the greatest mistake of his life. When two geniuses were put on the balance, Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein were both great geniuses. There is no doubt about it. But many people began to question who was greater between the two of them. So a vote was held, with only two candidates, Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein. One passed away over 60 years ago, while the other left almost 3 centuries ago. Two people living in two different eras now have to compete in a thumb wrestling match, with the Royal Society as the referee. This organization was established in 1660 to promote the development of natural science. Interestingly, both Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein were distinguished members of this society. Newton joined the Royal Society in 1672, while Einstein was elected as an honorary foreign member in 1921. On the website www.royalsoc.ac.uk, the Royal Society has called on Internet users to participate in a poll to find the greatest physicist in human history by answering 2 questions. The first question is, which of these 2 great names has made more significant contributions to science? And the second question is, who has made a more positive contribution to all of humanity in general? Who is greater? In addition to regular Internet users, 345 scientists who are currently members of the Royal Society also participated in the poll. The poll ended on October 6, 2005, with Newton winning. For the first question, 61.8% of participants chose Isaac Newton. Surprisingly, 86.2% of the 345 scientists leaned towards Newton. For the second question, 49.9% of Internet users chose Einstein, and 60.9% of scientists chose Newton. The British genius physicist once again emerged victorious. Jim Al-Khalili, a professor at the University of Surrey, passionately supported Einstein. He said that in just a few months, Einstein repeatedly published papers that completely changed the face of physics. His theory of relativity overturned Newton's views on space and time, paving the way for a series of new hypotheses about the universe's creativity, black holes, and parallel universes. Thanks to Einstein, we have discovered the photon, the basis for creating nuclear bombs, or apply solar energy to every aspect of life. Meanwhile, John Enderby, an honorary professor of physics at the University of Bristol and deputy chairman of the Royal Society, is a great admirer of Newton. He said, Principia Mathematica, Newton's most famous work, was a solid foundation for modern scientific research. This work laid out the most basic mathematical principles of natural science and showed that gravity is the force that affects every object in the universe. It was Newton who led humans from confusion and darkness to the dazzling light of true science. However, some argue that the results of this vote are not justified. Because the participants were mainly British, it is normal for them to favor their compatriot Newton. Therefore, the chairman of the Royal Society, Baron Macready May, stated at the announcement ceremony that many people would say that comparing Newton and Einstein is like comparing an apple and an orange. The most important thing here is that the aftermath respects and remembers the great achievements that these 2 great physicists have brought to the world of mankind. Clearly, their influence has broken all boundaries, surpassing ordinary calculations or laboratory work. The chairman of the Royal Society also reminded that this poll has no other purpose than to honor the 2 great scholars of the world. Thank you for watching the video on the Historical Greats YouTube channel.